welcome to another exciting episode, friends, to the Elevated Feminine podcast with your co-hosts, Nicole and
Jen.
Jen. She's here too. Today, we are talking with Juliana, the amazing Juliana. I've worked with her for a very long time, so I'm really excited to have her on the podcast and to pick her brain and ask her a bunch of questions because I know she has some new stuff that's coming down the pipeline. So I'm really excited to dive in. But so Juliana is here to talk to us today. She's a counselor, a quantum human design specialist, and bridge to magic. She's a multidimensional, multi-passionate seeker who loves to share, teach, and simplify what she has found on her journeys. Her soul calling is to revolutionize our perspective of the ordinary, bring magic into everyday life, and hold the vision of a free and sovereign world. To me, that's like all the amazing things that all of us humans should be diving into. But I'm going to turn it over to Juliana and let her tell us about herself, her practice, and where she's going. So, Juliana, welcome to the podcast. We're happy.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Jen. I love hearing that back. To me, it's like, oh, okay, I can hold on to that, because what I really notice in this human experience is we can get so bogged down by humanness, right? Our emotions, what's going on in the exterior world. And it's like this constant practice of coming back to the truth of who we are. And that's really what my soul feels like I'm here to do, is to really anchor that in my own being and then help other people remember that themselves. And I like to say I bridge the practical and the magical, because there is something very tangible about human experience, right? When we think about the spiritual, it kind of takes us out of our bodies. But what I've learned from my own experience and working with clients is that what needs to happen is we need to like deepen this connection with this amazing sacred body that we live in, and learn how to support the nervous system and how to be in relationship in order to then bring the magical pieces of life in. One of my favorite things to do is to walk in a park, in the forest, on the beach, wherever you are. And when you're in your body, when you are anchored in your body, that's when the magic appears to you. When you're stressed, when you're floating up above your body, it's much more challenging to actually see the magic and feel the magic in yourself. So I love to help people learn how to do that, how to tap into their innate magic through bridging the practical and the magical, because each one of us is so uniquely different. And so what works for me is not going to work for you, Jen, or may not work for you, Nicole, right? It's all about finding the unique way that each one of us engages with life, engages with magic.
Beautiful. I love that so much. And when you're talking about magic, do you have like a way that you explain it to people? If somebody was to say to you, what do you mean by magic? How would you explain it?
So magic became a value of mine when I was in my final year of my counseling program. We had to choose our values to kind of hold for the year. And that was the first thing that came to me, was magic is my value. And then we had to explain it, because part of the lesson was that each person's value, a word, is going to mean something different. And what I came to in that experience is that magic, the holding on to things that bring wonder, actually saved my life throughout my life so far, from when I was a teenager and suicidal, from when I was self-medicating, from when as an adult, the holding on to and finding wonder just in the sounds of the birds or the way the wind rustles the leaves. That really really kept me anchored in myself so that no matter what was going on, I could lean into that, right? And so then as I've been evolving, and I've gotten to this place now, I've gotten really fascinated at the etymology of words. Really, really fascinated at these words, because sometimes we have a word that is used that actually has a completely different meaning than how we use it now. And magic comes from the Proto-Indo-European word mag, which my mom actually said to me in Dutch, it's mag, right? And it means mag or mag, M-A-G-H, means power, to be able to or to hold power.
Nice.
And when I discovered this, I'm getting goosebumps now. When I discovered this, I was like, this is why magic is so important, because magic is our return to our empowerment, our inner power. And we live in this world that is very disempowering through media, through any kind of media, through messaging in our systems, that we are not powerful. And I think that we are all, I believe to my heart, we are all being called to reclaim our magic, reclaim our power. And when we reclaim our magic, we will change the world.
That's beautiful. And I love that you discovered magic and the whole etymology of magic before you really got into your practice, because we've worked together for a long time now. And that's always what you've been about, is finding inner power. So I love that.
Thank you. Thank you, Nicole.
I just wanted to say, Juliana, just watching you talk about it, you were just glowing. And I could see that same wonder that you were talking about in your eyes. It was just really beautiful to see. I wish you all could see this, and maybe you will.
Thank you,
possible. Yeah, no, it was really beautiful to see and to hear. I've been making little notes. I like to make my notes. I don't know if I made this note accurately, but I do remember you saying something, and you can correct me. Magic is our return to our power. Oh, yeah. That made my heart just go.
And when you said you got goosebumps, that's where I was too. It's like, yeah, like, hell yeah moments where I was like, hell yeah, let's do that.
Awesome.
I love that. I have a yoga teacher, Sienna Sherman, who's always talking about your magic. And we all have this, that spark, and we need to reignite it and get it going again. So it's really lovely to hear that you're helping people bridge that gap. And I want to hear more. And I know our listeners want to hear more too. So please, Nicole, I know you're burning with questions. I can see it. You can't see this, guys, but she's like grinning from ear to ear. She's got questions bubbling. She's dancing around. So go ahead, let them go.
Yeah. Well, Juliana and I haven't spoken for a long time, so I've been purposely holding back my questions because I wanted to hear them for the first time with all of you. So, one question I have right now is, what are you working on right now? What is sort of your big mission? Because I know you've shifted. You used to do counseling, and you're shifting your practice a little bit. And I'd love to sort of hear what you're being called to and what you're being drawn to as you make this transition, because I feel like you're still kind of mid to early transition right now.
I am still transitioning. So I am still working as a counselor, which I love. And I am in the process of a evolutionary shift of myself and what I bring into the world, and how I show up in the world, which is of course perfect, because this is what I work with all my clients with, is around like being relentlessly authentically themselves. So of course I'm in the middle of my own at the same time, right? That's how it works. And I'm in the middle of creating, it's my new business, and it's all about unleash your magic. And it's about working with people in groups or one-on-one coaching around specifically tapping into not only how to support the body in a playful movement, intimate way, because this needs to, like, this vessel so needs to be supported. And I have found that sometimes it can get very serious around the nervous system and the fight and flight and all of that stuff. And I've been trained in something called nonlinear movement, which is where you move your body to music. And it's been incredibly supportive for me and the people that I've already shared this with. So in these two different avenues of either a group workshop or one-on-one coaching, we work with the physical body in this lovely way of getting it supported. And it creates a deep level of intimacy that's very different than recognizing from your brain that you're in a fight flight response, right?
Yeah.
And so then we switch into playing like a child, activating the imagination. There's this he's a dream worker. His name is Robert Moss. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. And he says that the greatest crisis impacting the world right now is a crisis of imagination. And I read this just a little while ago, because when I was starting my journey in journey work and connecting with guides and energies of the world, it was like, all it is I'm using my imagination and just letting my imagination take me. But what's happened is we've gotten this messaging that it's just imagination. I'm saying in air quotes, right? It's just synchronicity, like how you guys met. It doesn't mean anything. And yet at the same time, we have this messaging that imagination, like you go to movies, there's billions of dollars spent in movies and books that stimulate our imagination. So I'm like, well, what about our own individual? We don't need these massive movies to stimulate our imagination. We have access to that inside. And when we can access our own imagination, it like opens our world to solving problems that we might have, struggles that we might have, finding comfort, finding meaning beyond this mundane world. And so once you get your nervous system settled and supported and you're feeling comfortable in your body, then it's about activating, stoking that imagination so you can go beyond what is here. And then I bring in all sorts of other stuff because I'm a bit of a lover of learning. And so then I weave in things like human design and gene key transits and how all of that is impacting our energy. But that's kind of like how I like to work, so that people can then take what they've learned in the workshop or one-on-one. And I want to help people create a practice that is unique to them. So I believe practice is super important because it creates a touchstone for us. And it's like 5 minutes of practice a day. It's all you need. Just 5 minutes. Doesn't need to be a big elaborate thing.
Yeah.
But it also needs to resonate with you. If the practice is like you're taking it from somewhere outside of yourself and it's like, I need to do this, it's not going to work. But if it's something that is like lights you up, then it's going to have the impact that you're looking for.
Kind of feels like you're saying it's like an anchor into self, and kind of just like connecting to self before you go out into the world, that quite easily encourages us to disconnect from self.
Yes, that is a beautiful way to summarize everything I just said. Thank you.
Yeah, I love that so much. It feels so powerful too, because the imagination piece for me is really exciting to hear you talking about it, because I love daydreaming, and I've actually recently just started letting myself daydream, and I give myself permission just to lie in bed for an extra 5-10 minutes when I wake up, just to daydream. like I go on these rampages of, wouldn't it be nice if I bumped into every single person that I like to talk to today? Wouldn't it be nice if I went out for a walk with my dog and it didn't rain for us for the first time in, a week, and all of these things? And it's fun because then you get to see the response, because then I go out and I have this, carefree sort of feeling, and then, people respond to that. People respond, whether it's they're responding to the energy, and it's just you meet up with people who are like-minded or like energy. But also, I always joke, I have no problems I live in France now, and a lot of French people are so surprised that I find French people so friendly. And I'm like, I've had zero problems here. I walk around with a stupid grin on my face and everybody comes up and wants to talk to me. Plus I have a dog, so that makes things easier too. So, and she's all, wiggly and smiley at everybody too. So I love that.
I had that same experience in France. I thought when I lived there, it was like everyone was so happy and I had the best interactions with people, and everyone was like, how are you having such an amazing time in France? I'm like, no, the people are incredible. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I saw, Jen, you went like this, right? It's like, it's a feedback loop, right? You start your day off like in that beautiful space of imagination and it just continues. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I love it.
It's on for your day.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So thank you for giving us all those juicy nuggets. We're going to take a quick break here, friends. And when we come back, we're going to dig a little bit more into Juliana's brain and the work that she does and see if we can pick out some more golden nuggets. So stay tuned.
Hi there, I'm Jen, co-host of the Elevated Feminine podcast, where real women have real conversations. If there's a topic you're passionate about and want to share your views and ideas, then we want to hear from you. Send us an email at elevatedfeminine9@gmail.com. We can hardly wait to have a conversation with you. Welcome back, listeners. We're here with Nicole and Juliana, and we're talking about magic and just bridging that gap and tapping into our own innate wisdom and magical values and powers. And something that Juliana mentioned before, two things that actually struck a chord with me, and I want you to elaborate, Juliana. You mentioned quantum human design and gene keys. For our listeners' benefit and mine, I don't know, Nicole, if you've heard of this before, please expand and tell us what this is all about, because I'm intrigued.
I'd love to. So human design is a system that was, I would say, given to a man in the 80s. He had this massive download. And it combines the Hindu chakra system, the Kabbalah tree of life, Western astrology, and quantum physics. And what it does is it takes your birth time and it creates this energetic template about how you are meant to create in relationship to, you could call it the quantum field, to the universe. So each one of us has a unique energetic blueprint that's made out of archetypes, which come from I forgot to mention the I Ching in there. It comes from the archetypes of the world that we all hold in our collective consciousness and unconsciousness. But we also have these unique auras and these unique energetic energies flowing through our bodies. And human design, using your birth information, calls up your unique way of being in the world. It's kind of like your energetic blueprint that says, this is who you are, and now try and go about exploring this, experimenting with this unique way of being and see if it works for you. Human design is an experiment. It's basically says, this is who you energetically are. Now go and try it and see how it works for you. Yes. I'll pause there because I could just keep going. So I'll just pause for a second.
For example, like there's how many archetypes are there again? Because I know mine. I'm a Mani-Gen. I'm a manifesting generator. But I'd love if you could like expand on the archetypes just a bit. I know that's such a big, broad topic, but even just like touching on what the different ones are. So in case, somebody's done human design before, they can kind of be like, oh, that's me.
Yeah, totally. So there's 5 types in human design. There's technically 4, but now we kind of have 5 because everything kind of evolves. And the types are, so before I go on, I use human design, but then there's also quantum human design. And quantum human design it was created by a woman. Her name is Karen Curry Parker, and she's who I learned from. And her story is that the man who originally was the original transmitter of human design wanted to rewrite the language of human design because it spoke to what is called the not self, or kind of like the shadow of us. And it was designed to kind of wake us up. It kind of feels like a wake up call. Wow. And she said that because of what we know now, where we are in our human era, that the frequency of words actually impacts us, right? And so she rewrote the languaging around human design to call it quantum human design. And so you'll hear me use both terminologies sometimes, and that's just what's going on there. So there's 5 types. First type is what we call the manifester, and the manifestors make up about 7% of the world's population. And manifestors are here to initiate people into action. They have this connection, this direct connection with the divine that gives them this internal spark that says, go and move, go and move. 7%. These are the people that just kind of say, hey, this is what I think should happen. If the world was a stage or a play, the manifestors are the producers. They say, I want to make a movie or a play about this, and I need you to do this, and you to do this, and you to do this. Okay. The next types we have are the generators and the manifesting generators. They're known as the alchemists and the time benders in quantum human design language. And they make up 70-ish of the population. I'm going to get these numbers wrong because I'm not a big number person.
We won't hold you to this.
Generators and manifesting generators are connected to, they have a direct connection to life force energy. And in the human design body graph, it looks like your sacral is defined. And this means that you have this consistent energy. I love the cat on you, Nicole. This consistent energy running through you. Generators and manifesting generators are in a dance with the external reality, in a dance with life. So it's like, if I'm speaking to you, Nicole, as a Manny Gen, right? You're here to respond to what life brings you through a gut response of yeah, no. And you're supposed to follow life through your yeses and nos. What often happens for generator types is that you go into your head and you start to think about all of the shoulds, the yeses, the nos. But what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to be back into your body and listen to that gut. Yep, this is what I need to do. Nope, this is not what I need to do.
Jen, it looks like that's really resonating with you.
Leave me alone, Nicole. Continue. You know I'm in my head more often than I'm not.
Well, and that's the thing, is that most of us are, right? Because we're conditioned to be in our heads. And this is why part of the work that I do is so focused on the physical body, because our heads are here to take big concepts and understand big things, but not to actually make decisions. Our heads are, because our heads can argue, as I'm sure you both know, one side of the story and the other side of the story forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So well, then
I was just going to say super quick, I think that's a piece, like even that part, I think that's a piece of your practice that I really appreciate when you're talking about imagination, because imagination would also give you like different perspectives and give you that higher, you know, bird's eye view of the situation, because like you said, not everything calls for the same response from every single person. So
yeah, and it's using that more is it the right side of the brain, the more feminine side of the brain of creativity as opposed to logic.
Yeah.
Look at Bijou there.
I know. My cat is on my shoulder. I wish you guys could see it. She has this thing. There's no use fighting it. It's just let her do her thing. She rolls around. Sorry, continue. Pretend the cat's not here.
So the fourth type in human design is the projector. And projectors are here to guide. They are here to tap into an energetic frequency and see things that other people may not see. They do not have a defined sacral. And so their connection to energy to get things done is, let's just say it this way, their energy is at a premium. They need to only show up with people and in situations where they are invited and seen for who they truly are. Because if they're doing work, often projectors will do work like a generator, they will burn themselves out very quickly.
Okay.
Projectors are the guides of the world. They're the newest. It's said that they're the newest type, and they're here to, if the world was a play, we'll go back to the play analogy. I'll put the generators in there too. The projectors are the directors. They go, okay, you need to move here and you need to move here. The generator types are the set builders and the actors. They're the ones who go, okay, I'm going to build this and I'm going to create this and I'm going to paint this and make it really beautiful this way.
Cool.
The fifth type is the reflector. They are less than 2% of the population, and the reflectors are lunar beings. They are here to, they're the audience of the play. They tell us how well we're doing. They're kind of like the barometer of society, if you, or of their community. If a reflector isn't doing very well, it very much has little to do with them and everyone that they're surrounded by. They're like this ultimate empath, and they sample the world around them. So reflectors will fit in to many, many different places. And one of my dear friends is a reflector, and they're quite magical beings in the way that they interact with life.
Amazing.
I'm intrigued. Like, what am I? I mean,
you need to do a reading, Jen.
Yeah, apparently. I'm so curious. I feel like some stuff naturally resonates based on how you described it, but I'm wondering, because I do feel pulled in many different directions. Sometimes I feel I could be an empath. Sometimes I feel I could be a manifestor. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, are you absolutely one? Or do you kind of like, because like when you have the doshas, we may be dominant in a particular dosha, but we also hold the energy of the other two. So is this a similar thing where you may be primarily generating manifesting generator, but you've got a little bit of projecting under or what have you?
So you will be one type. You will be a generator, a reflector, a projector, manifestor, manifesting generator. Because that's based on your centers that are defined through the different gates and channels. If I had a chart, I could show that to you right now. But what's really important, and this is what happens, I find, with all types of systems, is we become attached to one thing. And this is kind of controversial because there are people who are very, they're very focused on how the original transmission of human design came through. But we all have projected energy, manifesting energy, generating energy in us, because we all have all of the chart. And when the transits happen in the sky, we get lit up in different parts of our energetic body. And so sometimes I can feel, I'm a projector, and sometimes I can feel like a generator because my sacral is lit up through a transit. And so I've met generators who are like, I feel more like a projector than a generator. And it's like, what I say to that is, awesome. Experiment with it. Experiment with what you know about this chart, your chart, and the archetypes in your chart, and see what works and see what doesn't. Right. And because at the end of the day, it is like, as I said at the very beginning, you are unique And so I can't tell you what works for you. No one can, even though sometimes we really want someone to just tell us what to do, right?
Tell me what to do.
Exactly. But you will only, neither have I. But it's like only you will know if it's right for you or not, right? And so this is the part where human design, I love about human design, because it tells you, it gives you a framework, and then it says, go and experiment. But the trick is that there's so much information that you can get out of your human design chart. Like you can go down rabbit holes for years. And it's about, you can understand so much, but it comes back to the body again. Human design's an experiment about allowing the physical body to lead you through life.
Yeah.
Not letting your mind lead you through life.
I love that. There's so many things about like that too. Like even yoga, we're all yoga teachers here too. Even yoga is the same thing. A lot of people will talk about, yoga is not for me. And I always challenge it and said, who told you that? Because at the end of the day, oftentimes it's either a story they've told themselves with zero experience, or they just had an experience with somebody who maybe didn't encourage them to let their body lead them through the practice. And perhaps it just didn't sit with them one way or other. So I love that so much.
Yeah. Jen, you said something on the break about what the Sanskrit word, because I love Sanskrit, and that there's a word for like free movement. What is that?
Sahaja.
Sahaja.
Yeah, I'll read you the definition here. I actually learned this in Rasa Yoga. So it means natural, innate, and spontaneous, that which is together born. So it says Sahaja sequencing arises as a spontaneous flow in the rhythm of the breath. It allows for the innate body intelligence to lead the way and have a creative and healing influence in the expression of sequencing. And that's my favorite way to practice. And I try to encourage students in my class to, don't do what I'm doing. Tune into your own body and follow it. What does it want to do? Where does it want to go? Because it's smarter than we are. It knows. So I really love to lean into that. And I really wish more people would trust and just lean into it. And what you're talking about is trust. It's a lot of trust in that, trusting that gut, that deep, this is what we need to be doing. Do it. Letting this part go, nope. What's that?
The deep yo, I like that.
Yeah.
I don't know where that came from, but yeah, but Sahaja, Sahaja.
This is beautiful. I love that. The woman who developed nonlinear movement, her name is Michaela Boehm, Boehm, and she is a holder of the Kashmir tantric lineage, and so she has like there's an element of yogic philosophy behind everything that she does, but I didn't realize that there's a Sanskrit word for it. Now it's like all kind of coming, you just putting more pieces together for me. I love it.
Good. And I love the piece that you were just like elaborating on and all the different archetypes, because I feel like, and maybe that's for when we come back after the break, I don't know how much time it would take to kind of dig in, but I'm really keen to understand, and let's do it after the break. I'm really keen to dig into just how all of these practices that you have can be applied to in our lives, maybe even for business owners, because we're all business owners, we're all entrepreneurs on this call too, running our own little, not so little, one day, really big, little businesses, right? So it would be really, really interesting to hear how we can use that information and how we can use those practices to really sort of add value into our everyday lives and our businesses. So when we come back, we're going to dig a little deeper into that. So stay tuned. Juliana and Jen and Nicole will all be back in a minute.
Hi there, I'm Jen, co-host of the Elevated Feminine podcast, where real women have real conversations. If there's a topic you are passionate about and want to share your views and ideas, then we want to hear from you. Send us an email at elevatedfeminine9@gmail.com. We can hardly wait to have a conversation with you. And we're back. Welcome back to the Elevated Feminine podcast. I'm Jen and I'm here with Nicole and Juliana. And we had a wonderful break where I got a little quick little read in there as to what architect I am, but we're going to dive a little bit deeper into it. And I remember Nicole mentioned that she has had her chart read for her too. We asked Juliana, she'd be so gracious as to do a little demo of what one of those readings would look like. And Nicole has graciously volunteered for all of you and me to go through this experiment with Juliana. And we're really, really excited. So ladies, go ahead and take it away.
Yay. Thanks, Juliana.
Mm-hmm. You're so welcome. So Nicole, when I pulled your chart, what it says on my software is that you are a generator, or in which is different than what you thought. You thought you were a manifesting generator, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So sometimes it depends on the software. Sometimes the software can be different. I know the software that I use is supposedly the most accurate, but I don't
It
know.
was quite a few years ago, so who knows?
Okay.
Maybe there's been upgrades to the software.
Yes.
It was over 5 years.
And I have your birth date and time correct. So we'll go with what my software is saying right now. Let me just find where I was. So you are a generator, or in quantum human design language, it's an alchemist. What this means is you are here to respond to life through that sacral energy, because the sacral center is defined. The sacral is kind of like a battery. And when you rest or when you play, that battery gets plugged into life, to our divine life force. And then so you have this battery that keeps you going throughout the day. In traditional language, people sometimes say that generators are here to work. And a lot of generators don't like that, which I get. It doesn't mean you're meant to work a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. What it means is you have the physical and energetic energy to build what you love. And for me, I love doing readings for generator types because you guys make up 70% of the world's population. And if we have conditioned generators are doing work that don't light them up, which means they burn out, they're not happy. As we're undergoing this massive era shift that is happening right now on our planet, we need generators who are doing things that light them up. And the only way you do things that light you up is by following your sacral gut response from the yeses and the nos. If your sacral is saying no to you and you're stuck in an office gig and you're doing it because you think you should, you're going to burn yourself out. But if you are like, your sacral is going, oh, sorry, Nicole.
Well, sorry. I think there's a bit of a lag. I just cut you off. I was just saying, I took a deep breath thinking about that, going, oh no, no, thank you.
So it's like, so that sacral response, the more generator types that we have living in their gut response, the more in alignment you are, and the more that you are living in a space where you want to build, like this podcast that you guys have built and put together, that actually lights you up, that then is bringing light and inspiration into the world.
Magic.
Beautiful. Magic.
Exactly.
Love that.
Exactly. And so, Nicole, you are also you're what's called your profile. So we all have a profile, and the profile has more than 6 different, there's 6 lines, and it makes up all these different configurations. And the profile is kind of like, if we go back to the idea of the play, the profile is kind of like your script, your role, your character's role. And you're a 4-6 profile. And the 4-line person is community is super important. You are here to interact and build a foundation of community for yourself and then for the people in your life. It's kind of what you're here to give back, is creating community. And I'm not going to go deeper than that because I could talk about it forever. So I'll just pause there.
No,
and then
that's about right.
Awesome. Yeah, that resonates, right? It's like that is super important. And having a foundation, that foundational piece is very important for you.
Yes.
The 6th line is the role model. And the 6th line has like a 3-trimester stage of life. The first trimester goes up to around and sometimes past your first Saturn return. And you're here experimenting with life. You're trying all of the different things, making perceived mistakes, but those mistakes are not mistakes. They are you learning about life. The second trimester goes from your Saturn return to your Chiron return, which is around the age of 50. And this is where you are integrating everything that you've learned. You've still kind of got part of the, experimenting with things, but it's toned down quite a bit. And you're starting to integrate, to kind of make sense and really embody everything that you've learned in the first 30 years of your life. And then after your Chiron return from the age of 50 onward, you're here to show the world how to live that integrated life of everything that you have learned in your life by being yourself. You teach simply by showing up fully in life as you, whatever you feel lit up doing. And through that, you become the role model to other people.
Wow.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for giving us that little taster. That's so amazing. And it's so interesting how, like little bits and pieces resonate. And then there's a few little things of like, oh, I'm going to test that out. And then you're talking about how I'm a tester. I'm like, oh, well, yeah, that's what I do. Thank you. So, okay. So let's talk a little bit about your programs and your offerings and how can people work with you, Juliana, who maybe they want to go into their design or any of the other stuff that you have, because you have some amazing things that you're offering. So we'd love to be able to share with our listeners how they can get in touch with you and participate in some of that.
Awesome. Thank you. So I am definitely an experimenter. You know how I told you about your first 30 years is you're an experimenter. That's what's known as a 3-line. That is my entire life. So I will often have different types of offerings because I love to experiment with different people and myself around what is, I don't know, you could say that it's always about shifting and changing because we're always evolving. So my offerings sometimes change, but right now what I've got going on are, I've got quantum human design readings where I sit down with someone for 90 minutes and we deep dive into your chart. And I focus those readings on what your particular questions are or theme in your life are right now. We go into what your life purpose is, what continuous challenges might show up for you, and how you can support yourself. In my quantum human design readings, I bring in all of my knowledge about the nervous system and psychology, and so how you can really support yourself in the experiment. Because sometimes that is the hard part about human design is, okay, now I know this, but how do I actually go about practicing it? So I give you tools to go and practice that. And right now I have a 33% off coupon code that's going until the end of the year. And it's Spirit 33. So if people want to sign up for a human design reading, they can get it at 33% off. Yes. So, and I love doing those, and so much information in there to share with people about who they are. And what I find that the biggest feedback I get from people is, wow, that's such confirmation about what I feel inside, but I've been too scared to believe that that's actually true or that I can live my life that way.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Like a homecoming.
Yeah,
Love
totally.
it. Thank you. And
Totally.
we'll share all of the details with our listeners, how to get in touch with you. And even we'll put in that coupon code if you like, Juliana, so that people can get in touch with you and reach out. Jen, do you have any last questions? I know you have your little notepad, your little list of notes there. So I always like to make sure to give you if there's any last words.
Yes, Sadie's on my notepad right now, but I just I think I wanted to ask Juliana, how do the, and I don't know if we have time to unpack this, but do the gene codes, how much do they have, keys, have to do with the human design charts that you read? Are they connected, or is that something completely different?
So in your human design chart, there are what's called gates, and they are numbers based off of the Chinese I Ching, and they move through the astrological wheel. Those gates are archetypes. They show up in certain ways. You see it in the world, you see it in yourself. The gene keys are kind of like a branch, just like Karen Curry Parker did her branch of quantum human design. The gene keys is a branch by a man named Richard Rudd, who is amazing. He's an amazing mystic and philosopher. And he received his own download around these gates or I Ching hexagrams that he turned into the gene keys. And they're very related, but they're different. But it's like the archetypes of, and this is so, it's just what life is. It's the same, but it's not, right? It's that constant dichotomy. So I can look up gate 64 and know the definition for that in the human design chart. And Richard Rudd takes it to the gene keys takes it to a whole other level. It's deeper. And the gene keys is more of a contemplative process, as opposed to human design as a physical experiment. And so it's the same, but it's different. And I like to bridge both of them. Like to me, they cannot be separate. They are meant to be together, and they both make each system richer when you bring them together.
Okay, so it's almost like the gene keys get you a bit into the head, and then you come back to the body with the human design.
Yes, exactly.
That's the bridge that you were talking about at the beginning.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at me making connections.
Connected, girl. Love it.
Oh, wow. So fascinating. I've never heard of any of this before. I mean, I know that you can get your astrological charts read and the same birth date and time and stuff like that. I don't even know what house I'm in or what's rising or not. I've never really gotten it done. But I do think it's interesting. And I do think it's another gateway of getting to know who you are. And I think that's our main purpose, our underlying purpose on earth is to figure out who that is and just show up. And we all we just have to find what resonates with us as relates to finding out who that is. And this may resonate with a lot of our listeners and it might not, but it's definitely resonating with me because I'm all about, because you feel things, you experience things, and you question, is this real? Is this am I having an out-of-body experience? Am I having a moment? And it's just your inner self trying to say, hey, I'm here. Yo, pay attention.
Oh,
exactly. Yo. So it's amazing. I'm really glad that you joined us today. This was fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Juliana.
And I think it's so there's some really great nuggets that you gave us, and so thank you so much for being so generous with those shares and with your wisdom and your loving intention to be of service to all of us. And even though it's just the three of us here, it still just radiates around the world, and I'm sure that listeners are hearing it too. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of that and being so generous with your shares and your time. And we really appreciated having you. It's been really fun chatting with you and getting to hear all your updates. It's been a while for us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun and playful, and I've loved connecting. Mm-hmm.
So thank you, everybody, for joining us. This has been another fun and exciting episode. I hope you guys got a lot of value from that. Again, if you want to get in touch with Juliana, we're going to leave her details. I'm pointing down, but in the comments, in this description, of the podcast, so you can get in touch with her if you want to find out how she can help you lead your life. It sounds like from the heart and from your true self. And who doesn't want that? So get in touch with Juliana. Just do it. Thank you for listening and joining us on today's episode. And this has been an episode of the Elevated Feminine podcast. Real women having real conversations. See you next time.